Oh yes, let me take you back maybe through a little bit of childhood. I know I want to be an entrepreneur. Unlike most people that they kind of try it out, figure out in college, I had a plan already. I knew that was something I wanted to do, be an entrepreneur, start my own business. So I set a goal for myself in high school that I was going to start my own company when I graduated from college, which is 22 years old. So I planned my early years around that mission, and I worked at several jobs from pizza delivery to busboy to bank teller to insurance sales, real estate sales throughout high school, and motel management too throughout high school and college. To prepare myself for the ultimate goal, which is start my own business. And I kind of chose those jobs strategically because the insurance and real estate sales, I got my sales training from there, and I figure for management, bank will be a great place because all that money, all that cash, how do they manage all that? So my senior in college, I work as a bank teller to get that management experience. Yes, I started the Toujours Inc. back in 1991 as a gift company. We started selling frames, glass frames. Eventually, in year two or year three, we transitioned into corporate awards, and corporate awards, mainly glass and crystal awards. So we design, import, and distribute through dealer network and sell them to the end users or corporate customers that use them for awards and recognition programs. Well, we sell through a dealership network. So we have about 1,000 retail dealers throughout North America. And so when you have a dealership network, you rely on them. So our mission is to serve our dealers, to be a reliable vendor and be of service to them, and also act as their marketing support. For example, we have free catalogs and free CDs for them to use. So most dealers don't have the budget to print their collateral material. So they're able to use our, we call them blind catalogs, meaning it doesn't have our company information on them. So they can use it and present it to their corporate clients for sales presentation. So supporting our dealers is vital to our own success. So our mission is to serve our dealer customers. Approximately, some are bigger than others, some are more active than others, but we right now we're opening maybe 8 to 9 new dealers a week. But at the same time, a lot of them buy one time or two times and they fade out. So it is very, very important for us to keep marketing and keep gaining new customers, because some of the old ones eventually will close down, go out of business, or they try our products twice and just decided it's not right for them and they don't want to carry it. Competitive advantage, I would say reliability. In this business, see, the times have changed. 20, 30 years ago in this business, people would order in advance and stock some supplies. Now, the retail dealers are using us as their warehouse. We're an extension of their business. So we're like their partners. So if they don't believe that we can ship on time and ship the right products, and the product's going to arrive nice, not broken, and the quality is good, that they don't have to return it, because they're in awards business, everything is last minute. People come in, we have an event next week, we need to get this now. So the room for errors is very, very low. So the dealers know that. And of course, price is always an issue, okay? But the reliability, the responsiveness, just answering the phone on the first or second ring and not believing voicemail prompt. I personally don't like that. That you have to hit like 3, 4 buttons, 30 seconds wasted just to get to the person. We pick up our phone on the first or second ring. So little things like that make the dealers want to do business with us. The biggest challenge is actually, it's recently, it's just oversaturation. of competitors. With China opening up, the flood of competition, the pricing pressure, the downward pricing pressure on the gross margin. And so I was losing market share 2 to 3 years ago, starting to lose market share. And I did not want to lower my price because I want to protect my gross margin. But as I see the sales keep sliding, I says, I have to put a stop to this. So, but I don't want to destroy my overall gross margin if I lower the list price across the board. So how I handled the problem was I decided to give customers a discount off the list price. This way, the competitors would not know which customer is getting what kind of discount. See, they'll only know what our list price is because it's available to the public. Okay, so I did that. I make phone calls, email, I observe our sales history, see who's doing well, offer them a deeper discount because they're obviously users. So I believe they're buying from other people too. But if I can give them a better discount plan, I think I can get them to buy from us more. So that's one thing that I did, which is to give a discount to different various dealers. Of course, I did not offer a discount to people that just buy, once or twice in the last year on small orders. So I reviewed the sales records and determined who I want to give my discount to. And they're all at different rates. So the competitors will never know. Is it 10%, 15, 20, 25? So they're left guessing, and which is good. And the other thing that perhaps is my biggest marketing coup the last 2 to 3 years is my email newsletter and my email specials to all my dealers. See, we collect all these email addresses from trade shows, just from meeting our dealers, and when they call to open a new account, we ask for the email address. And we started out just doing specials once a week. Then when we start seeing some bites, we said, how come we're not doing it twice a week? Then we can double the sales. So we did that twice a week. Then I was thinking to myself, well, what would happen if I did this every day? Well, it worked because most people think, well, my customer is going to be mad at me for sending them email every day. Well, you cannot say that unless you try it, because I tried it already. It worked because if they're really your customer and they're your true audience, they appreciate those emails. They can't get enough of it. And the key here is to do it every day. So I send out at 7 o'clock in the morning every day. I pre-program them for a whole month special. And obviously, I select products that I have a lot of inventory of, okay? And I sell them at a huge discount. And so I still make a 8-9% gross profit after the discount. And the goal is not to make a lot of money, of course, because 8-9 gross percent is not going to make a lot of money. But the goal of the program is to get them to familiarize with our company, with our products, because if they're ordering once a week versus once every 3 months, now they memorize the item numbers. They know what page the items in the catalog. So most small dealers are overwhelmed with work and information. So if they can memorize and use your catalog as their main catalog, that's your advantage. So that is a big marketing coup for us. And I'm surprised not more people are doing it because either they don't know about it, or the thing that I see that most people do is they'll say, it won't work for my company. The reason why they're saying that is because they don't want to work hard on it. Because if it's already proven by someone else, why don't you try it? But they rather just do their old thing that they've been doing for the last 10 years. But look, things are moving so fast, new technology, web, video on the web, email marketing, so on and so forth. All these things were available to me when I started 17 years ago in 1991. So all these I learned on the way, just by out there, networking and listening to other people and listening to other people's idea and just being out there reading books, attending seminars. So once I pick up a good idea, I really put it into practice. And as in this example, we started out once a week, then twice a week. Eventually, now it's every day. Now at the trade shows, the first thing people, when they come into our booth, it says, Chien, I get your email every day. They don't even say, how are you? So that means it's working. They're reading it. And You don't have to worry about the ones that don't like it or delete or that don't open it, because they were never your customer or prospects to begin with. So why are you worried about them? Worry about the ones that actually open up and that are buying from you and that enjoy getting it. And we actually have this customer that buy almost every day. We have a joke at our company. This guy buys every day almost on our email specials. So that's how we address the market share issue. And yes, the gross margin overall went down by about 8-9% because, on sale, the key here is you have to do it for one day only. So they take action. So we have daily specials and we have a coupon code. So when they claim the coupon code, we definitely know it's from the email. Okay. And so regular people that buy items that are not on sale that day, they're still paying regular price. So that way we don't destroy the overall gross margin. And that's the key. Yes. And this two things. One is like, so you only have limited time, so they have to take action that day. When you have it for a week or 2 weeks, there's no sense of urgency. In any sales and promotional marketing, you need to set the time, the expiration time shorter. The shorter, the better. Too much time, people procrastinate, they're not hot for it anymore. So that's the key. Yes, it's really no secret. It's really a lot of hard work because, as an owner and founder and, if you're a high pay executive, manager and so forth, obviously you're going to care a lot more than some of your other employees that may be just there using this job as a stepping stone for their next job. So they might not be as vested as you are in learning, in doing a better job servicing customer. So it starts with your enthusiasm. Okay, so if you're the founder, if you're the manager or the leader, you have to have enthusiasm. Trust me, employees pick that up. When you start showing up late, act like you don't care, they picked up the energy. And then they said, well, if the boss don't care, why are we working so hard? So the first thing is I start with yourself, that you have to come in with energy and be motivated yourself. And that will, permeate throughout the organization. I think nowadays, because of the high turnover in many companies, big companies and small companies alike don't invest enough in sales training, okay? Because they figure why. It's very, very expensive to train somebody. And, whether it's in-house or send them to a training class outside, why should we train them if they're going to leave within a year or two, which happens a lot, okay? Or worse yet, they go work for the competitor. So, but my thing is this, okay? It's more than just the customer service. It's the whole package, the environment that you create at your company. Is it a company of that is conducive for people that want to stay? If you pay people well, either at market or above market with incentives, and you have a good learning environment, good culture. I often say, why would they want to leave? If they want to leave, then they shouldn't be here in the first place. Though the ones that stay actually are the ones that we want to keep. So if you run a real good organization, you shouldn't worry about, yes, turnover will be a normal part of the business. But at my company, turnover is very, very low because, when you provide educational assistance, healthcare and so forth, and you have a strong leadership and a great company culture, that foster teamwork and everybody gets along, why would they want to leave? So it starts with that, the culture, and and now people care. So yes, there's the direct training that you have to spend on the employee, how to problem solve. I give my employees the option or the authority to waive certain service charges when they see fit, to authorize replacements. So this way, the customer experience, when they have a broken piece or a defective piece, they're not happy already when they call. The last thing they want is for them to wait for 3, 5, 6, even longer days for you to get back to them how to handle that defective piece. So we're able to handle it on the first call. We will give you free replacement, and we will just, have you send the piece back on our account. That's it. And people need to understand that a lot of people lose a lifetime account over a $50, $100 customer service issue, and so it has to start from the top, because if the management is nitpicking and try to nickel and dime the customers, look, the employees are only following your directions. Okay, they're only following your directions, so they're afraid to overrule you. So they're just saying, "Hey, this is just what our company policy is." So customers don't want to hear that. So it has to start from the top and all the way through. So communication, training, company culture is all a big part of customer service. Oh, gee. Truthfully, they all been there average of 4 years or more, and some of them we have to let go due to various issues. But put it this way, most of them did not leave to go look for a better job. It's all for some other reason. But I would say, yeah, because a lot of my colleagues, fellow business owners, they miss this point, okay? Hiring is very, very expensive. The act of hiring, okay? Just to advertise or go through an employment agency, you have to pay a fee. Then the first 2 weeks to 4 weeks, you're training that person. There's no productivity. One person had to teach the new person. So 2 persons are really doing the job of 1. Now, after 2 to 4 weeks, let's just say, you decide this new candidate is not going to work. Basically, I wasted 4 weeks of wages on this new person, and you still have to let him go. And then you start the process over. The second candidate that comes in. Now, your experienced person still have to train the second candidate. And I find in my own experience, sometimes it takes 3 tries to fill one position. So how much productivity of the experienced person is wasted, plus the actual salary you have to pay for the candidate to even be here for 2 to 4 weeks for you to try him out. So the act of hiring is very, very expensive. Not to mention, it takes your as a small business. Bigger businesses have a professional HR department, but as a small business owner, that takes my eyes off the ball from running my everyday business to deal with this hiring issue. So I like to develop, once I have a employee, I like to develop them, and if they're not happy, if they think they want to quit or their performance level is like dropping, I like to talk to them before it gets to the boiling point. And so a big part of my job is developing my people. And if you're too busy as the owner or the president of the company, you should have a strong leader that can, at your company, that can engage the employees. Because in my experience, after I sat down and talked to many people, not necessarily my own employees, just like other people that work at other places, a lot of times they're disgruntled, they're not happy. And 80–90% of the time, those problems can be addressed. But because they feel like they cannot talk to their boss, and it's just like in their chest, and then they can't release it, and gets to a boiling point, and then just said, "That's it, I quit." So I like to stop that from getting to the point. And like I said earlier, most of these issues may be a raise, maybe flex time, maybe they just feel like you're not giving them enough respect or enough recognition. So a lot of those things are easily addressed if you pay attention to it. So it's just opening the line of communication with your employees. One thing that I think that work well for our company is this: we have 2 annual company meetings off-site after work, in June, around June, July, and also towards the end of the year. And this way, it's off-site, it's not at work, so there's no who's the boss, who's the superior. We go out to eat, and we we brainstorm, and we just talk about, some jokes or something that happened in the company that was funny or something. So people have their guard down, and now they can feel like, hey, they're not stepping on anybody's toes. And now people that usually don't talk will start opening up, and they'll start saying, well, why don't we try this? Can't we do this instead of that? So I think those are off-site company retreats. At least once a year, if you can't do it twice a year, at least once a year, it's very, very helpful in getting new ideas, getting people to work together, and also if you're the boss, you need to really listen during that session, and a lot of things will come out of it. Yes, because my employees, they're physically in our office, so it's easier to have a face-to-face conversation. I never get why many people at a bigger office, they're only 30 feet, 50 feet away, and they're instant messaging or they're emailing. I would just like drop by their office or their desk and then say, hey, I need to talk to you about something. I don't care if it's like 1 minute, because like even at our small company, I get a lot of miscommunications between myself and our employees. This is face to face, and I still have to repeat 3 times for us to really understand to get each other. So imagine trying to do that in an email or instant message when you're abbreviating things, and that's a recipe for disaster. Now, certain things can be done over instant messaging. Meet me at 6 o'clock. That's easy, right? But if you're going to talk about a project or some human issues, no, don't do that. I think a face-to-face is the best way of communication. And first, you're seeing the facial expression. As most of you may heard, I think 70% of communication is the body language, right? It's not the word. So body language is very important. Your facial expression. Are you smiling? Are you, do you look mad or angry or whatnot? So that's so face-to-face. Now, with the customer, actually, I actually travel over the United States to visit some of my key customers. That's how much I believe in personal contact. Unfortunately, as you know, you cannot meet everybody. I mean, it's just impossible cost-wise and time-wise. So, of course, I'm selective. I review my accounts, and I try to go visit certain strategic accounts. And sure, I learn a lot from those visits. They tell me some of the things they're not happy with us. Well, how come I didn't know this before? Because customers don't just pick up the phone and say, I'm not happy with you. But if you go there, you're sitting in front of them. Oh, Chien, I've been wanting to tell you this for 2 years. Okay, let me have it, So, and I learn a lot from those trips, and sometimes they're good things. And sometimes they tell me about what sells well for them and what sells for other items that competitors may carry that we ought to look into. So, and I get a lot of industry insights. Sometimes they're gossipy, but sometimes they're good information. And I get that from my customers. And they're not going to come out just by sending an email and say, hey, tell me what's going on. They're not going to reply to that. But when you go to visit, a lot of these things come out from the conversation naturally. So, so the customer that cannot visit, I try to call them. A lot of times, I set a goal for myself that I want to, pick up the phone randomly as much as I can, just to take on sales calls, just take orders. And from those things, just from the natural course of the conversation, I learned so much about so many things, and I can detect this customer is like, this is their marketing plan. They're planning to do this. How can I help them to grow bigger? So by answering those phone calls, it's very time well spent. So my communication style is face to face, and if that's not possible, definitely a phone call is better than email. And email is necessary in today's world because a lot of times it's hard to get a hold of people. And like I said, I would not go over strategic issues over email. Plus, you shouldn't leave certain sensitive things on emails because they get forwarded, they get sent to the wrong people, and that just can open up a can of worms. So I just recommend a phone call or face-to-face. Yes, it's hard to, I've been asked this question many times, what's your management style? And I remember in a Bruce Lee documentary, he talks about, having no style is the best style. Okay, so I really see myself having no style because the situation dictates my style. Okay, depends on who I'm dealing with. What is the situation? What are the dynamics? So certain things I need, yes, when we are getting into a new business, when there's we buy a new piece of equipment, I like to get together with employees and then be involved with it. But certain things I just delegate and then just have them report to me and just go over the issues, have them update me on the main points, ask a few key questions. So I can't really say I have one hands-on style. I mean, I travel a lot. I don't call. I only call once a day when I'm on the road. They have my phone number if they need to get a hold of me. So I'm not one of those managers that need to call 5 times a day and remind their employee of everything, because if you start doing that, not only are you really not using your time effectively, you're actually having those employees being relying on you. They become disabled in a way without you saying okay, and they're just like afraid to take action and afraid to do the right thing what the situation calls for, and subsequently your employees don't grow when you're too overbearing. So being hands-on and being overbearing, I guess, is a fine line. So I like to be hands-on when the situation calls for it. Such as trade show. I love to be hands-on at trade shows because I think that's very strategic. But certain things you just don't have to. I mean, we import things from Asia, and they need to be clear customs and the whole process and all that. My manager does all that, and he just gives me the key dates when the shipment's going to arrive. He helps me deal with the bank as far as reports for the loans that we have from the bank, and he just let me know what the loan balance, what our cash flow is, and I'm okay with that. So it just depends on the situation. Two parts. One is definitely people, and most people will probably say that because people are dynamic. Every person is different. Just like a football coach or basketball coach, some employees you can be straightforward with about his performance or his shortcomings. Some you have to be around the bush, come in a big circle, and be real gentle. And so that's so you have to be a real people person to do that. And the other is just trying to determine how this person can contribute. What are his strengths? Is he a right fit for a company? When you interview an employee, many times I'm wrong, because that's not the real them. When they come to interview, it's not the real them. The resume doesn't really tell a whole lot. So when they start working at your company and how they interact with other team members and how they take on their responsibility or lack thereof, you observe that, and I've been wrong many times, and so it's a hit and miss. So a lot of times things just don't work out, and you have to part ways. But so I would say personnel issues are tough, and understand something: good people have personal issues. Recently my mother suffered from cancer. I had to take some time off, but I wonder if I wasn't the owner of the company, if I was just an employee, how would my employer see me? Would he see me as a less dedicated? Would I disclose that I'm taking care of my mother? Okay, so good people, can have legitimate issues. Some of them may, be in an accident they don't want to disclose to you, or they have some illness they don't want to disclose to you, so their performance level may taper off. But, as a leader, you have to be sensitive to that, because now that I'm getting older, I'm facing some of those issues in life myself. And I have a better understanding for people that have problems, personal issues. So I think I'm a better leader today just because I can more effectively relate to my people about some of the things they're going through, whether it's professionally or personally. Okay. The second part that's hard for us on the management level is the inventory issue. Okay. Nowadays, our industry, the life cycle is not even as fast as, say, electronics or cars, that changes every 2 to 3 years, or computers even faster than that. Our life cycle is 5 to 10 years, so that's pretty long in today's world. But even then, it's hard to guess what item to stock, because again, our customer rely on us as their extension, as their warehouse. They expect us to have it in stock. But certain items may not sell well for the last 6 months. All of a sudden start selling this month, and we get wiped out. But it takes us anywhere from 60 days to 120 days to replace our inventory because they have to be made overseas, and it takes time to ship over here to our warehouse. So as soon as you find out you're running low, and then you send the order into your factories, it's still going to take a while to get here. Meanwhile, customers are calling and wanting to do the same item, and you just have to see if you can upgrade them to something else. I always teach my staff, a good salesperson sells what he has on the shelf. Okay, sometimes that's not possible because it's in the program. They use the item before they need the exact same piece. Okay, then we lose that. But I would say 80 to 90% of the time, we are able to give them a free upgrade. It's kind of like renting a car. If they're going to give you a bigger, nicer car for the same price, most people are not going to complain. So the key here is offer them something a little bit nicer for the same price. But our customers are just retailers, remember. They have to go check with their end users to see they're okay. But like I said, 80 to 90% of the time, we're able to do that. But the inventory level is kept at a very, very high level relative to our sales. So that is definitely a lot of carrying cost. Plus, when the item really just falls out of favor or it doesn't sell, we end up have to sell it at 50 cents on the dollar, sometimes even less of our cost. So we take a real beating on our profit statement when we have to let go of merchandise at 50% of our cost. But that's just part of the business. You have to figure that into your planning, in your overall business planning. So those are the two challenges, personnel and inventory. What's easier? There's nothing easy. Did you say what's easier for me, management? There's really nothing easy. If you talk to anybody in a business leadership position or an entrepreneur, no one's going to tell you like in success anything is easy. So, but if I have to say on a relative basis, I would say marketing, because that's just my background. That's just my nature. That's just what I'm good at. So I can come up with good ad copies. I can come up with good marketing sales campaigns. I can come up with good opening line at trade shows and so forth, and be involved with the industry players. So I think marketing is fun. Marketing is the creative side of business, whereas finance is more technical. So marketing, there's no right or wrong, really. Some of the campaigns, some of the products we want to develop, I've been wrong many times. Product I think is going to sell well did not sell. And the one that I'm not really excited about sells like hotcakes. So marketing, really fun, keeps you on your toes. And it's exciting when you develop a marketing plan and you get to carry it out and then really see it works in the real world. Sometimes you have to make adjustment as you go along. Okay, but while you're making those adjustments, tweaking it, referring back to my earlier example about the email, we start out with once a week, now we go to every day. So you make those adjustments and you see how the marketplace is giving you signals. And so you have to be on your toes and observe that. And it's not like accounting debit and credit where there's like hard rules. Marketing, really, there's no rules, and you can act crazy, you can be serious, you can be high end, you could be the low cost guy, but people can succeed in many, many ways. Again, I think there's no secret to a lot of these things you're asking. I think it's more of people's not paying attention to what they're doing or just being ignorant, because if you want to really manage your time well, you can. And so first thing that I observe is this: a lot of people are simply don't know how precious their time is, and they don't really think. For example, I used to have an employee that wanted to go pick up a book that he was buying for our company. It's a design book. And it's a specialty bookstore, and then they said it was going to come in on Wednesday. Well, if I were him, I would call the store first and say, hey, did the book come in? Instead, he didn't call. And he went there, and then they said, oh, I'm sorry, the book didn't come in today. To him, he probably didn't care because he was on salary, and he just burned half a day and didn't accomplish anything. Okay, so just by placing a phone call, you don't have to make that trip. you can just go when they say, yeah, it's in here for sure. Okay, so just paying attention and being conscious of the time, and also I just see a lot of people sending long email that have no substance. It probably took them 5 to 10 minutes to type it, and it has no substance at all. They could easily pick up the phone and just communicate that in 15 seconds. Instead, they probably took 5 to 10 minutes to do that. So that's another thing. And obviously, a lot of people know that a lot of people play on the computer during work time, internet shopping, or going to some their website of their choice that's not business related. They don't know they're burning time, and so there's employees that do that, and there's actually business owners that do that because they got nobody looking over their back, so they think it's okay. Well, if that's how you're gonna spend your time, I guess no one's gonna say anything if you're the boss. But if you're wondering why you're not getting your work done, it's because you're spending your time doing things that are not really of value. The second point I want to make about time management is this. I personally keep my personal life very simple, okay? Because your personal life and your business life is intertwined, okay? When you don't have a good home life and it's all, it's a complicated and you have issues, people are drinking problems or stay out late at night, you're not gonna get up in the morning. You're not gonna feel refreshed. You're not gonna feel ready the next day. And, what I recommend is I take a look at your personal life as well. Is there something that you're doing right now that's not essential? Perhaps it's actually bad for you that you should cut out. Take a look at that because it seeps over. You can't just draw a line and say, this is my personal, this is my business life. It's all together, it's all intertwined. So keep your personal life simple and get well rested. I find that very important because you can't be doing well if you don't have energy. Well, personally, I never had MBA, I don't think. Because our organization is fairly small, I think like an MBA would really contribute in a company that's doing at least 50 millions or beyond in revenue, 50 million US dollars. So MBA, I think definitely would bring in if our company ever hires one, I think like MBA will contribute to some discipline, okay? Because they're what I call formally trained, business trained. Because many entrepreneurs are successful because they're full of energy, they're determined, they're good at something. Say they're good at baking, so they open up 10 bakery shops. Their cakes and pastries taste great, a lot of customers, but they might not have the management expertise, they might not have the financial expertise and marketing expertise, okay? So when they get to, especially complicated businesses like 20 branches and, supply chain issues, logistics, and you're dealing with a lot of different factories or so forth and different parts, moving parts, I think MBA would be very helpful to come in and devise a system and also bring some formal business discipline to the business, to the entrepreneur. I don't think I have ever gotten anything that's like outrageous, but I would say in the service economy that we have today, you almost have to accommodate and entertain any request that people might have for you in your business. For example, we're in an awards business, and people want to make custom awards, and they have these like outrageous designs, huge, and yet their budget doesn't reflect that. So I guess that's the most outrageous I've gotten, where the expectation is just out of whack. They want something of a certain price point, but yet their budget don't reflect that. So those are the ones that I get. Oh yes, recently in 2004, I joined a business organization, and I stumbled into networking. I was never a good networking person. I was what we call a gunslinger, where I like to do things on my own and just like, didn't want people to bother me. And I ran into some people in 2003 and 2004 that enlightened me in many, many ways, both personally and business-wise. I was able to learn some about real estate investing. And so it dawned on me that, well, wait a minute. If I would have networked a long time ago when I started my career back in the early 1990s, wouldn't I be like a much farther ahead at this point? And I would have done things the easier way instead of the hard way. And I mean, my career would be like, so far ahead right now. And not to mention all the relationships that I would have right now that would be so valuable to me, both professionally and personally. So I decided in 2006, to become a professional networker. What I mean by that is that I really put networking on the forefront of my business strategy. Okay, 70% of the products and services sold in the United States is done by word of mouth or referrals. That's how powerful networking is, and I never even realized that. So once I started networking, I started realizing, wait a minute, there's a lot of people that want to know how to do it, how to become better at networking, but they don't know how or where to look for help. So I published a book in November of 2006. It's called It's Who Knows You, Network Your Way to Success. And just like the title says, in networking, it's more about it's who knows you, not who you know. Most people would like to meet the right person, right? They want to meet the CEO of a company, the owner of a company, the VP of purchasing, the decision maker, correct? But wouldn't it be a lot easier if they knew you and they called you first? So that's the whole concept of my networking. And, and so right now, it's a central theme of my company's marketing plan. Great question. Actually, it's been the same since my younger days, since high school and college. I've always wanted to start a business, like I said earlier, so I can achieve financial freedom. I don't necessarily care to be, so rich and this and that, be ranked, one of the richest person in the world, things like that. That was never my goal. I do want to have a certain financial security and freedom, and hopefully, soon. Then it allows me, that would be the springboard to do other things that I want to accomplish in life. Okay, I think I'll always be an entrepreneur at heart and in spirit, and I will always be involved with something, but that's a business or to that nature. But I think I don't identify my profession or what I do as who I am. I think I'm more than just a business person or, president of Toujours. To me, I want to travel around the world. I study history. I'm a historian. I'm a humanitarian. So there's more to it than that. And I want to get involved with the seminar business and speaking business so I can share some of the knowledge I have learned over my career, essentially. Because, when I was younger, a lot of people helped me out too. And I learned a lot from a lot of people. Unfortunately, my biggest regret is I did not keep in touch with them. I can't even properly thank them. So so my advice to you is like, keep those contacts. You may not think like they're that important. You may just like, cross your path at one point in your life. But keep their contact and follow up once in a while. And a lot of those people will come back in your life and be a big part in your life. So I want to experience life as much as possible in every way, different cultures, taste different foods, learn different languages, get to know different type of people, study different religions. So life is so great. I mean, why only concentrate on one part of it? Life is like, this big thing. And so to me, I want to get the most out of it by experiencing different aspects of life, not just business. And I know a lot of people that are a generation older than me, and when I talk to them, a lot of time all they talk about is their business. They have no other reference in life. And to me, from my personal point of view, that's unfortunate because, that's that I don't want to be at 60, 65 years old and look back and have nothing to reflect on. So, getting a lot of experience and also one important thing is this. I think a lot of people want to influence others. Okay, in a leadership position, you oftentimes influence others. But you know what? I want to be influenced as well. And that's how I learn. And that's how I grow. So when I can be influenced by other people to new ideas, new philosophy, that's great. I enjoy that. Yes, I think I didn't know this. I came to the United States when I was 11 years old. And back in Taiwan, it's a Confucian society. And I didn't know how much Confucian influence I had in me until older, because once I got to America, it was like, just what they taught us in school and the Western ways and American ways and so forth. So being an immigrant to the United States actually broadened my horizon. Now looking back, now that I study history and I acquire more knowledge, I realize how much Confucianism have influenced me, without me really knowing it. I mean, I was brought up with that. And so Confucius taught me to be to respect, to value education, and to stay humble. And I think that's the key to my success. And also that I define my own success. No one else can define it for you. You have to define your own success. Even when I didn't have money, I still felt I was very, very successful because I was growing every day. So define your own success. But I would say the single most biggest influence in my life is Confucius. Yeah, I came here when I was 11 years old, and I was in the middle of the fifth grade. And obviously, I did not speak a word of English at that time. And obviously, language is a big, big barrier, okay? And so that goes without saying. But what the good thing was, my dad made sure we moved to an area where there were no other recent immigrants in Orange County. At the time, Orange County now has a lot of immigrants now, but back then, Orange County didn't have that many. And I was forced to learn sign language, and just like they had a special teacher during reading classes to pull me out and give me one-on-one instruction. And so I actually, in a year and a half, by the time I was in seventh grade, I was taking regular English classes with the Native Americans. So, so I actually was able to pick it up pretty fast. And one little advice for those of you that want to learn a foreign language is this. I read the newspaper every day, because newspaper is very, very broad, different stories, so the word usage, you'll pick up new vocabulary. Not only that, journalists, a newspaper, they write proper English, so you get to see how they structure sentences. And then, because the newspaper, unfortunately, you don't know how to pronounce it, then at night, watch the evening news. I watch a lot of news because, again, the TV anchors, they use proper English and their proper pronunciation. So if you read the newspaper and watch a lot of TV, of course, during your normal day, of course, you have to communicate with people at school or work. But, on top of that, read the newspaper and watch the TV news. That will really, really help your learning of the new language a lot faster. So the language barrier, I overcame that relatively fast. In a year and a half, 2 years' time, I was able to communicate with other students. But I think another big challenge at that time was because back then there weren't that many Asians in Orange County, and I was like a novelty in school. Okay, there weren't any other Asians in my elementary school, and I think and at that time, boys want to prove that they're tough. They want to pick fights with me, and so I was always being picked on because I was different, and And, it's just boys being that age, 11, 12, 13 years old, trying to prove that they're tough. So, got into a few fights and so forth. So that was a big challenge for me. It's just like, not just I worry about what I have to learn in school, but just I worry about, well, gee, who's going to confront me today? So, but ultimately it made me stronger. And, I learned through those fighting experiences. My dad actually taught me after I came home for a fight one day with bruises. And my mom, of course, was like real worried at the dinner table. What happened to you? And my dad didn't say a word, and he wasn't even concerned. And at the end of the dinner, he told me, listen, the best fighter in the world never loses a fight because he knows what fight he choose to fight, and he knows when to run away. So the best fighter in the world never loses a fight. That really made a big impression on me, both, physically, in school fighting and also in the business world, You don't try to fight with people that's going to beat you up. You need to know, from the fight experience I learned from my father, that you have to know your own abilities, or better yet, your limitations. And you have to know your opponent or your competitor, whatever you want to call it, whether it's a real fight situation or in a business situation. Because, if I'm not confident, if I don't think I can win, if this is not winnable, don't do it. Walk away. So from that experience, I learned to actually walk away from trouble. And it actually was a big part of my personal development to know that, hey, look, I don't care how tough you are, you're not going to win every fight. And sometimes you just have to talk it out and use your negotiating power, if that's, I didn't know what to call it back then, but just like knowing how to talk yourself out of trouble, that may be your best weapon sometimes. Well, I like to read a lot, and I also have like a couple books in my car. And maybe you start thinking, well, gee, he must be reading business book. Yes, I do read business books, but a lot of times I like to read things outside of business. I really believe a person needs to be diversified in that way. You can't just be interested in whatever you do for a living or whatever your profession is. So like I said earlier, I read a lot about different religions. I study world history. I love to read travel magazines. And I like, just like sipping tea, drinking wine, go to the coffee shop, like I said. And I enjoy traveling, just road trips. I think road trips are great. Hit the open highway, you have solitude. Sometimes some of my best ideas come from road trips because, you're on a wide open road, you get to think, no distraction, and you're really calm and meditating. And so just being alone, and I really recommend that everybody runs around busy for professionals from one appointment to another, one meeting to another. Really save some time for yourself. Go on a vacation. It doesn't have to be long, 2 to 3 days. No cell phone. Just bring a couple books to read and catch up on your reading. Reading is so important. That's how I expand my horizon. And again, don't just read business books. Read things, gardening, anything outside of what you do for a living. Actually, I read many good ones, but like I said earlier, I don't have a management style per se. I don't really have a favorite book because I read, again, many good books. I don't think I ever gone back and read a book second time, because if I was going to do that, I want to read a new book and gain new knowledge. So, obviously there's a lot of big name authors, and I read Jim Collins' book on Good to Great. That's a great book, but there's a less well-known authors. Actually, I'm an author myself. I wrote a book on networking. I know other fellow authors from the same publisher, and they wrote some great books on sales management, and and some wrote about just like business success, and so some of those are very inspirational to read. And so I recommend that you have to read at least 1 or 2 business books a month. on top of other, books outside of business. Okay, and it should be, people talk about working out, exercising on a regular basis, but I don't see people put the same discipline on reading. And you have to, if you want to keep up with business, society in general, you have to keep up with your reading. I heard about it. I've been approached by a person that does that for a living. And I have to be honest, I personally don't subscribe to any podcasts, and I don't put my material on podcasts at this point. But it's one of those things that I have to investigate and look deeper into. You have to understand, ever since and that's the other thing about what's important about, going to seminars and reading books and networking with other people, is that, well, all these things that we're talking about, the iPod, podcasting, this thing did not exist 10 years ago, and so a lot of these things are coming on new, and I have to, a few years ago, we were researching pay-per-click. That was new a few years ago, and there's social networking, and there's all kinds of, now there's like video on the web. So there's a lot of things that a person have to digest, and frankly, each person or each company is not going to take on all those technology out there. But I do see podcasting as a something that will play a part in my company and in my business. So it is just something I have to learn about, and really, there's always for executives, there's always like this fear of the new technology, and a lot of time I rely on my assistants. I rely on my tech support, contractors, to help me with these issues. So yeah, podcasting is something that I have to look deeper into and see how I can use that to enhance my business. I think my proudest achievement was saving my mom's life back in 2004 when she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Most people want to talk about their business achievement or even some sports achievement, but I think my proudest achievements are all relationship based, because without the relationships that I have, whether it's with my mother or my friends or brother or sister, those things don't mean anything, whether the business achievement or whatnot. So, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. She had emergency surgery, and I took her to Houston, to MD Anderson Cancer Center, which is the ranked #1 in the world cancer hospital. I was commuting back and forth between LA and Houston, and my dad, we were I would go there for 2 weeks, then he would come for 2 weeks, so I can come back and take care of some business. But that was and my mom had 2% survival rate, and now it's 3 years later, she's alive and in total remission. So I think to me, that means more to me than anything else in this world, that to have my mom here, because all my life I don't know what it's like to be without my mother. So I'm glad she's here with us. Yes, obviously, most of my business friends would wish they could have a few things back, they could do over again, myself included. So the first thing is that I would use more contractors. I felt I hired people prematurely, and I was stuck with the fixed cost. And earlier we talked about the cost of hiring people and so forth. I think if you hire contractors, they're more flexible. Yes, they're less devoted to you, but you have that the flexibility, and when the project is over, because business just changes too fast, and it's so hard to make long-term plans. You think you might need these employees. A year later, business slowed down or whatnot, and or this type of business change, and then their skill sets no longer fits. Then you have to hire another set of people, so that it just the fixed cost is just like too much, and just like, and it's also just like not a pleasant thing to let employees go when it's not their fault, because business changed or you know, just like business slowed down. So I would just say utilize more contractors until I really see I really need that extra person. You know, I need to scrutinize a little bit harder. I think I didn't look at it hard enough. I mean, sometimes it's easier just to pay your existing employees extra overtime. It will come out cheaper than taking a whole new employee along with all the benefits and so forth. And you know, if there's not enough work, you know, if it's a full-time position, they don't like their hours or their wages cut. So it's just a tough situation for everybody involved. So that's first thing I would do differently is use more contractors. The second thing is networking, what we talked about earlier. Like I said, I didn't realize how important networking it is to me on a personal level and also at a professional level until 14 years into business, I realized how important it is. I mean, I wish I had known it, you know, from the beginning. And as a matter of fact, when I went to USC's entrepreneur program, that's University of Southern California, I graduated from there at the entrepreneur program. Our mentor was Mac Davis. He taught us that we need to network. But, you know, actually I was taught, but I didn't realize how important it is. See, a lot of times people teach you things, but you don't take it seriously. And until you either get burned or you realize you missed out on things, then you say, oh, I wish I had known. I wish I had listened. And I wish I had taken it seriously when he told me that. So I'm in that position now. So I wish I had taken more seriously, but luckily it's not too late. You know, that I started networking and kept my contact and also using the concept of is who knows you. So I have a weekly newsletter that I send out to all my contacts. I actually have two mailing lists. One is for my Toujours, which is 11,000 people in the awards and you know, personalization industry. And I have one that's 2,000 names. That's for the people that I meet in my business circle that may not relate to Toujours, but think about it. If you make money from your main business, don't you need to invest it somewhere? So how about investment advisors? How about tax lawyers, estate lawyers? How about, you know, a new accountant if your current accountant is not doing the job? How about one of my friends is in land banking, buy land and hold it for 10, 20 years. Different type of real estate brokers. The list goes on and on. I actually have a business broker in my network. So if I want to sell Toujours or want to buy another company, I have an existing relationship I can call on. So the mistake that people make about networking is they're too short term. They're looking at, if this guy is not going to buy from me, there's no point for me to keep talking. To me, that's a huge mistake. And that was my attitude back then. Well, if he's not going to buy any awards from me, what's the point of like developing a relationship with this guy? And, you know, a lot of salespeople are just one-dimensional in that regard. But, you know, and networking could be personal too. How about networking to, for example, I found out about the MD Anderson Cancer Center from one of my friends. I would not have known and taken my mom there if I didn't talk to her. So that was a personal resource. That has nothing to do with making money. You know, how about a good contractor if your house needs repair? Remember earlier I said your personal life oversees to your business life? Well, if you're having a problem at home, say you have this lingering issue with a roof leak that you can't fix, well, how can you concentrate on your work when you're coming home to a leaky house? But if you can call up your friend and get a referral to a reliable contractor and take care of the problem right away the first time, wouldn't that be a good thing? So understand that networking is more than just professional resources, it's personal resources as well. And you have to develop a relationship farther down the road. The designer that I have right now, when I first met him, I didn't see any strategic value in him other than he's a nice guy. He's a furniture designer. So I go, well, gee, in the future, if I need a custom furniture made, he could design a piece for me. It wasn't until further down the road, we just kept talking, just normal conversation, that I realized, wait a minute, this guy is very, very talented. And furniture is more complicated than awards. And if he can design furniture for movie stars, he could sure design awards for me. So currently, he's my designer. So you see, you need to really dig in deeper and just like develop that relationship. Then you start seeing value in people. Because I've been wrong many times that the first glance, you're seeing somebody for just that one dimension. But a lot of people are very multidimensional, and they can be of help to your career or your personal life in many, many ways. So I would, obviously it's too late to turn back the clock, but now I put that on the forefront of my business strategy, which is networking. Oh, that's a great question. I love that. First of all, the management. If you're a young person looking into management, I suggest that you pick up duties that other people don't want to do. A lot of times, people try to dodge responsibility. They don't want to do this, don't want to do that. Volunteer to do things people don't want to do. Volunteer to take on extra load. When you're young, experience is paramount. And by getting a chance, if your boss will let you do it, and because you volunteer, do it. That will add to your experience bank. There is no substitute for experience. So first thing is volunteer to take on more tasks. Number two, if you're in a sales situation, that's great. Sales is the best, in my opinion, for to develop a young executive. Because you're out there, you're not stuck in the office. You get to see the world, literally. I mean, sometimes you get sent across the world to do trade shows or talk to a vendor or so forth, or visit a customer. So being in sales allows you to see the outside world and outside contact, and you become more and more sophisticated. And if you're involved in sales, that has direct impact to bottom line. So if you're partly responsible for the success of the company's profit, you could promote it a lot faster. And so I suggest that if you're young starting out, look into sales. And then when you become a manager or a leader, you will be able to more effectively lead other people because you've been there. You've been in the trenches. Okay? And if you're looking to start a business, which is what I did, I highly suggest, when I was starting out, a lot of people were telling me, Chien, why would you want to start a business? You're 22 years old, you have no money, you have no experience, and you have no connections. So that's 3 strikes. So why would you want to do that? Actually, they're focusing on the negative. When you're young in your early mid-20s, that is the best time, in my opinion, to start your own business. I'll tell you the positive side, okay? Hopefully you're not married yet, you have no children, so there's less responsibility, less financial pressure to support other people. Your expenses are low. You can live in a 1-bedroom apartment, or go room up with somebody, because at that time your financial burden is very, very low, and you're young, you're energetic. You can work 14, 16 hours, 6 to 7 days a week. Oftentimes, a startup that's what it requires. So you need that energy, that enthusiasm. So no time better when you're young and strong and full of energy, okay? And the third reason is this. In my experience and also observing other businesses, usually it takes about 3 years to get to cash break even, whether you work long hours for sweat equity, or if you have like investment money and put in money into it, you're probably going to be negative cash flow for the first 2 to 3 years. So it's going to take about 3, 4, maybe even 5 years in certain areas, or even 4th year start making money. In my case, I turned a profit in 4th year, but it was very minuscule. It was not that much. So when you start out young, you have a long time horizon to see all the actions that you put forth to play out. Okay, it will take time. Most young people just want instant success. There's few cases that happens, but chances are it's going to take time to develop. So if you're starting out, say 25 years old and start your own business, even if you take you 10 years to achieve your financial goals, where you want to be. You're still only 35. That's still fairly young in a person's life nowadays. So I think it's very, very strategic to start when you're young. And one final point is this: even if you fail, and say you start at 25, and after 5 years you give up, and you said this is not for me, and you ended up with a $50,000 or $100,000 debt, you still have enough time in life to make it back. When you're working at a company and you make a mistake on their dime, it doesn't hurt as much. Consequently, you probably didn't learn from that experience as you should. Make the most out of that mistake. When you start your own business, $5, $10, that hurts me. And it's gonna make you think, it's gonna make you remember, and you will think harder the next time you have the same decision or a similar decision coming up. So in my observation, there are many entrepreneurs that fail first time, second, third time, and they're successful by their fourth or fifth try. And it's that you just have to be resilient. You have to have that perseverance, and it's unfortunate that that people just think one failure and they want to judge you by that. But I read somewhere that says failure is not the act of falling down. Failure is falling down and not getting up. So it's okay to fall down. I fell down many times. But in my opinion, I'm not a failure because I've gotten back up every time. So I hope you'll take that to heart.